Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's interesting to see when I was a little kid, and my dad, you saw him was a high school football coach, and everything in my life was about football. That's all I wanted to be, was a professional football player. I just didn't think it would be not possible. How I knew I was obsessed with becoming a football player, true story. My grandmother came up from South Carolina. I was 6 years old. She was making a visit over the holidays. She walks through the door, and I blindside her and take her down. 2 hours later, my father is dragging me like this to the hospital room where my grandmother broke her hip. And he said, get your friend in there and apologize to your grandmother. So I feel like awful. I'm 6, and I said, Grandma, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to show you that I was watching my dad's players at practice, and the guy came up and he hit the blindside quarterback, and he also came from the strip. My problem was I was a little bit too low, and I hit you in the hip. And she goes, that's okay, honey. That's a hell of a hit. So it was never discouraged. In fact, it was encouraged. And that was my passion. That's all I wanted. I used to have those action figures, the G.I. Joe guys that had the plastic arms and plastic legs. And you remember you had the ball would fall out and you had to put their arm back on all the time. So my guys were never Army guys. They were always football guys. And the arm would fall off, and I'd sit over there, and I'd be crying. I'd take it to my dad, and I'd go to my dad. Dad, this guy, he's stinks. He's always hurt. His leg's always falling off. He won't stay healthy. And my dad said, that's okay, son. I'll tape him up like I do my players, and he'll be back ready to play. So that's my mentality growing up. In fact, many of you know or have heard of Mitch Albom, I'm sure. I did an interview with Mitch Albom one time, and he said, Chris, define yourself as a person. And this is the sickness that I had. I said, Mitch, it's simple. I'm a football player. I will coach football. Then I will die. That is who I am. End of interview. He said, that was pretty boring. I said, well, that's all I got. But along the way, I did meet a young lady in high school named Stephanie. And the beautiful thing about Steph was that she got it. I don't think she understood it all the time, but she got it. So I figured, well, this girl gets it. I might as well marry her. So we got married right out of college, started my life in Detroit up here, playing for the Lions, living the dream, up going to the Buffalo Bills. Then kind of my life actually really changed when I was playing for the Buffalo Bills on a Monday night. And we were playing the Colts. And I used to go to the game probably 2 to 3 hours before everybody else. And I would go in there, I'd have 4 cups of coffee, 2 smelling salts I'd take, shove them up my nose. I would take 3 Alka-Seltzers and something called Uptime that I bought at a Speedway. And I would sit there and visualize myself playing the game. Visualizing myself doing the very best for me and my team. You heard that on the video. To be the best, to be the best, to be the best. I was consumed with that from the time I was 6 until that Monday night. So as I'm going through this ritual/routine, something happened in that locker room. And I'm visualizing knocking guys out and all that stuff. Then I heard it wasn't a voice, but it was a message that I received. And it was almost like a ticker tape, like you see in Times Square. It's going across this billboard. In my brain, it says, what's your purpose? What is your purpose? And I already defined my purpose a long time ago, so I kind of shook it off. About an hour or two later, I'm walking out for the coin toss before the game, and I'm stopped between the numbers and the hash on the football field with the same message about what your purpose is. Shook it off. Play the game. A guy named Lamont Warren takes a handoff. I come up and I take my top of my helmet and I put it right through his neck. And he goes, ugh! And all of a sudden I hear the crowd go, ooh! You know, when you hear a good hit in football, you hear the crowd, whoa! And I say to myself, Yes, that is what I live for. That is what I live for, right there. But there was a small problem. I'm laying on the ground, and I can't feel or move anything for about 2 seconds. I'm completely paralyzed. Then all of a sudden, when you hit your funny bone, you get that tingling. Well, this tingling came throughout my whole body. And I got up from the ground, no kidding, I was like this. I was shaking, and being a smart, college-educated, with a degree from The Ohio State University, I made the very wise decision to continue to play. Because why? I'm a football player. That's what I am. Tried to do that the following week against the Denver Broncos. It happened 3 more times. After the game, I walk down, I see my wife Stephanie with my 2 children, Maddie and Noah. I look at them, I'll be right back, I got to go get something checked out. I ended up herniating a disc at C6, C7 in my neck, and what happened was, you guys that have had, somebody's probably had this surgery where you have your neck fused, the disc exploded onto my spinal cord, and so every time I was making contact, if I hit it the right way, I was bruising my spinal cord or touching my spinal cord, which was causing these many bouts of paralysis. So I end up having the surgery, and I'm in Cincinnati, recovering from the surgery. I'm in a hospital room that night, and again, I am in and out from the surgery, but I'm awakened by that message or that ticker take about which purpose. And I said, oh man, I got a new purpose. And right when I had this new purpose, Stephanie walks into the room, and I said, Steph, I got a new purpose. And she looked at me with such hope. And she goes, what is it? And I said, well, I am going to come back from this neck injury and be the first linebacker to ever come back from this neck injury. Because you can be a punter and kicker and you can come back from this, but actually a real football player that actually hits something hasn't come back from this. But that's my new purpose. I'm going to come back better than ever. Then I see her face now. And the look was almost that she gave me was like you would give a child. She was a little disappointed, but it was more, of course you will. See, there was no new purpose there. But she didn't let me know that. So, we get out of the hospital, gets about June, I'm in full training, the great comeback is on its way. And while this was going on, our 3rd child is due. She said, I'm having a little bit of an issue, can you meet me at the doctor's? This is in June. So I'm going to the doctor's, and of course I'm late. As I'm walking in, she's walking out crying. And I go up to her and I say, what's wrong, honey? And she goes, well, I lost the baby. And I give her a hug. It's okay, it'll be all right. We'll try again. And I'm looking at my watch because I got a second workout plan in about 2 hours. Because I'm a football player. Week goes by. She had another doctor's appointment, which she didn't tell me about. Obviously, she didn't tell me. She comes home and she said, during the pregnancy, I had a lump. The doctor wanted me to get a biopsy. He said, don't worry about it. 30 years old, not a problem. 2 hours later, on July 7th of 1998, the doctor seemed to get the results, said that you have breast cancer, 30. And like anybody that's had that, I don't pretend to be the only one to get a phone call like that. There's people in this room that have gotten phone calls like that. I understand that. We talk about it. After we absorb the shock, she goes to bed. I stay up all night. I'm walking the house from room to room to room. And all of a sudden, here comes the message in my brain again about what is your purpose. I say to myself, I can't go play football. And I got to tell her this when she wakes up. She wakes up, I said, Steph, I'm not going back to Buffalo to play. You want to talk about tears? She cried 8 times more than she did when she found out she had cancer. I said, what are you doing? She goes, you can't do that. You can't let cancer take away who you are. That destroyed me, who I am. You can't let cancer take away your dream. Why are you doing this? So I stood up all night, Steph, and I thought about this. Here's why. And I have to really realize this, that on June 24th, 1989, in front of God and in front of family, I said, in sickness and health to you, and I came at a crossroads. And when I said that, I meant it. I said that one day our children will have trials and tribulations of their own. And when that time comes, they will be able to look back on their mother and father, and they will be able to face those trials and tribulations based on how their mother and father handled it with their actions and not just their words. And God gave us the financial ability for me to be able to walk away for a little bit. And finally, I took that time off, or I'm stepping away, because I know this, from football to life, to everything that we do, that what we give will grow and what we keep we will lose. So if you give love, if you give time, if you give passion, if you give energy, if you give effort, if you give all that away, it grows and spreads and prospers. If we keep all that to ourselves, every good gift that we have to offer, if we keep it to ourselves, it dries and dies. It dries and dies. So we're off to see the doctor. And as we're driving, I lose it. I'm so angry. I'm angry at 3 things. I'm angry because my career's in jeopardy. I'm angry because we lost a child. I'm angry because she has cancer. And I say to her, what's going on? What's happening in our life? Why? I mean, I'm that guy that asks, why me? Why us? We're good people. You're really good. I mean, we talk to people. We're nice. We donate to charities. Why us? I'm sick of this BS. And she looked at me with, this time, a pitiful look, and she said, how dare you? How dare I what, Steph? I just laid out a big, giant case for you of why I'm so upset. And she said, well, let's do this. In our new world, in our new journey, in our new cancer family journey, let's look at it this way. And for you, the first time, for you to look at anything in your life this way. Stop looking down the road thinking that you are special, that you are owed something good, that you are owed another blessing. For the first time in your life, and I suggest this for all of us, for the first time in our lives, look behind us and look at the thousands of hands that have served us, and look at the thousands of blessings that we received up to this point. That's why. We're so blessed to be given this opportunity. Nobody asked for this, right? Who's going to sign up to be the cancer person? Who's going to sign up to be the widower? Nobody signs up for that crap. But if we're in it, we're going to make a difference. We were able to make a difference. During that journey, we started a fund, a breast cancer research fund, that currently has raised more than $22 million, and every single dollar has gone to research because it's associated with the James Cancer Hospital. We have made a difference. That all worked. It worked for the first reoccurrence, worked for the second reoccurrence, it worked for the birth of a third child, Macy for Macy Gray, Lynn for Stephanie Lynn, worked for a fourth child, and the fourth reoccurrence, Audrey for Audrey Hepburn and Grace for obvious reasons. Then finally cancer came back a 5th time. And this time she had to go home to be healed. And she passed away and went home on November 19th, 2009. The greatest compliment I ever received was that she said that it's okay for me to go now. This was 3 days before she passed away. Why do you think that's such a great compliment? What was she waiting for? What was she looking for? You think about that. She had no fear of dying. Obviously, I'm a person of faith. She had a faith. She had no fear. She said, why would I be threatened by heaven? What was her one concern? 4 kids, right? A mom has to leave her 4 kids for a while. But I proved to her that I could do it. And it wasn't sad. It was validation, and it gave her such peace. But it was validation that she trusted me, and that I was able to live to June 24th of 1989. That I was able, by my actions and not my words, about what we give will grow and what we keep we will lose. 3 days after she passed away, she kept journals. And I kept little notes here and there. I didn't know she found this, and she kept this. I'm going to read this to you, and I was describing myself as a football player. So what am I? I'm a professional football player, and I say that with all the pride and honor deserving that title. I will always give 100% to my team for the good of my team. I will never be timid in the face of adversity for the welfare of my team. My personal success is secondary to team success, for I'm part of a group working as one out of respect for my team. My standard must never be lowered for the benefit of my team. No matter the outcome, I will never quit. I will never surrender. I will never stop. This I owe my team. My team's glory will be my glory. This I pledge. Chris Spielman, Buffalo Bills, 1996. 13 years before she passed away. When I opened up to read it again, I substituted some words. What am I? I am a husband and a father, and I say that with all the humility and honor deserving of that title. I will always give 100% to my family for the good of my family. I will never be timid in the face of adversity for the welfare of my family. My personal success is secondary to my family's success, for I am part of a group working as one out of respect for my family. No matter the outcome, even death, I will never quit. I will never stop. I will never surrender. This I owe my family. In the end, my family's glory will be my glory. And I'm looking. Teamwork, family, tradition, accountability, unstoppable, ambition, perseverance. Throw it in here. This doesn't just work for everything, it works for here. This moment in this time. I'm part of the Ziegler Auto Group. I say that with pride and honor, deserving that title. I will always give 100% to my customer for the good of my customer. I will never be timid in the face of adversity, whether car sales are up or car sales are down. I don't know. For the welfare of the customer. My personal success is secondary to the customer, or to my Ziegler success. For you are part of a group working as one, out of respect for the customers. Your standards, whatever part you work in, must never be lowered for the benefit of the customer. No matter the outcome, I encourage this group never to quit, never stop, never surrender. Why? This you owe your customer because your customer's glory is your glory. Now, that's not just words for me. I had my 16-year-old, my last driver. I took her to get a car. Scared to death. The other ones I had no problem with, right? Now my baby girl is going to get a car. And like, I don't know, maybe because she's the youngest, it's like I want to protect her so much. Right? Or maybe I'm scared that she's the youngest and she's getting older, and I took her to get the car, and the guy that's selling her car was awesome. He sat in the car with her. He was very patient. He went over everything with her, gave her his card, his cell phone number on it. If you ever need anything, this is what... And I went up to the guy and said, I want to thank you because you care. And I don't think you folks in the service department or whatever department you work in, how much a guy like me counts on you when I'm putting my children out on the road in something that you're giving them. Or the guy in there fixing it. I just heard these two young people talk here about a car accident. Yeah. Right? And you knew everything about it. And how invested you were in that. Please, don't take for granted for what you do. And please, when you walk in here, know that at least one guy that's an old football player that lives in Columbus, Ohio, honors and respects and trusts what you do on a daily basis. So either all this wallpaper means something or it doesn't. It means something to me because if I lived in Kalamazoo or Chicago or two dealerships in Indiana and I walked into a Ziegler place, I'm counting on you because I have no idea about cars. Nothing. No idea. I'm the guy that every time I work, I got to look to see what side the gas tank's on every time I stop at a gas station. I did bring a video, and I talked about impacting life. Get ready for that. And making a difference. And not quitting and not stopping. That's a picture of Stephanie. That's 1 month before she passed away. 2 months, excuse me. So on behalf of survivors, on behalf of companies and organizations that care, and I know that your group as a whole participates in the Drive for Life, thank you. Because you're in a position where you can have a direct impact, a positive impact on somebody's life, and you don't even know it. And the good thing and the bad thing is that you don't know the results all the time of what the extra 20,000 raised last night might have been. You don't know. I live in a world where I know because I get emails all the time. I get emails of a recurrence, of a new diagnosis, of remission. So I get to know a little bit of the end game, but I can tell you that you are, in this room, in the rooms in Chicago, and wherever else we are, that you are making a difference. My daughter, the oldest one up there, is 25, is now getting annual breast MRIs, which wasn't available 20 years ago. There are drugs that weren't available 20 years ago. So there is significant impact, not just on breast cancer, all cancers. I'll close with this. Then we'll open it up to some questions and answers. But I'm going to close with this because this is important. I'm not the only guy believe me, I don't pretend to be the only guy that's suffered loss. I met 7 people last night that are going through what I went through or that have lost somebody. I know there's people in this room that are significantly touched by this journey, by this battle that we're in. And I had a young man who lost his wife. She was 29 years old. And he says, how do I do this? What do I do to get through? I said, I only know this. I wake up every single morning and I say this to myself. When my feet hit the floor, it's the first thing I say. Be on your guard. In life, we are going to get sideswiped. Like the couple at the stop sign where the truck hit him at 60 miles per hour. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just right there. You're in my ear. We're going to get sideswiped possibly on the road. In life, we're going to come through where stuff's going to happen. So just be on your guard. If you have a faith, stand firm in your faith. I did. That was a rock that never wavered for me. We have to be men and women of strength. You will be called to be strong at some point in your life. Where you gather that strength, whether it's from your faith, from music, from friends, from family, you will be called to be strong, and you have that in you. There will be times you have to be men and women of courage. Sometimes you just got to be brave, man. You got to be brave. You got to be courageous. Whatever you're facing. But here's the key. This is the most awesome thing. And it's so elementary. Above all, do everything with love. Do everything with love. Do your job, relationships, passions, battles, whatever, fight, how you love somebody, how you're a wife, how you're a husband, how you're a mother, daughter, father, son. Do all that with love. And I promise you, whatever comes your way, good and bad, you'll live life to the fullest. No matter what. How do I know this? Well, I wouldn't be standing before you today if I didn't know it. And if I haven't lived it. Thank you very much. God bless you all. I appreciate your time. Thanks.